my tea and I'm gonna roll on over.
Okay.
Okay.
It's cool that this is episode 10.
10. I'm glad you asked because we need to say that.
Yeah.
Although I feel certain at some point. Hi, friends. It's apparently episode 10. I just looked it up.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah. Do you want to hear something funny?
What?
Part of me feels like the intro music is going to start to play.
Right. Like we're waiting for it.
Like, here it comes. We're
Right.
doing it. Okay, I got to start our timer. Okay. We're good. Hi, Jeanette.
Hello. Jeanette Blake's here.
I'm here.
Okay, guys, this is episode 10.
It's episode 10.
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm happy and excited. I don't know, 10 seems like far away and we made it to double digits.
Right. Yes. And it feels like it's different vibe now because it's actually released in the world. So now people have actually given us feedback. I'm a little more nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know people are actually going to listen to this.
So this morning we had 2 emails with episode topic requests.
Oh.
So that's exciting that that's starting to happen.
That's amazing.
And yeah.
It's different. Okay, tell us who we're here with.
Okay, so we're here with Blake Guichet.
Good job.
Okay, Blake Guichet. I met Blake at a friend's wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and we became really good friends, and we were very similar in a lot of ways. And she recently helped me with my logo and my website, which I'm super excited to talk about also. And I follow Blake on Instagram, and Blake has a podcast called Confessions of a Crappy Christian.
Which I like the name of.
Yes,
It's a good name.
Yes, it's a great name, very relatable. And so I knew when we were talking about like hustle and work and all of that, we had to have you on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited that we made it happen. Now that summer is over.
Yes.
And you have life back. The main reason when I thought of you for hustle is because on your Instagram, you actually have anti-hustle written.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us why anti-hustle.
So last year, I bought the hustle culture message, hook, line, and sinker.
Okay.
Like, read the books, listened to the speakers, bought in on the lifestyle, even like knowing truth. Talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I just realized, I was like, oh, I didn't ask that.
You go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so knowing truth, knowing where my worth and identity lie, abandoned that and allowed my worth to become completely consumed by what I could achieve, what level of success I could reach, how hard I could work, and actually put my body in danger. Like, it was a mental issue, obviously, but I ended up at the doctor with like adrenal failure.
Right. From how hard you were working,
How hard I was working.
not taking care of yourself.
Not resting, stressed out all the time. I struggle with generalized anxiety disorder
Yes.
already, and so this was that on steroids.
Yes. Yes.
And so, I mean, crashed and burned, was told, like, foggy, couldn't, like, keep my eyes open, I was irritable, I was miserable, to the point that my husband, who I think has been to the doctor 5 times in his 37 years of life, was like, you need to go
It's time.
to the doctor, like, something is wrong.
What do you think introduced you to that? Like, how did your love for the hustle start? Was it you starting your company? Like, what was it?
No, because I've been in business. So I'm a graphic designer, a branding designer now. But before that, I was a wedding planner
Oh.
Right. Yeah.
for
I
like
forgot.
10 years. So I had been self-employed entrepreneur for like my entire 20s.
Yeah.
So this wasn't a new concept of like being my own boss. It was a very popular, prominent
Yes.
figure
Yes.
in hustle culture who I fell in love with
Mhm.
and believed that I could achieve what she had achieved and went for it.
Was that
Gotcha.
the draw? Was it trying I can mirror this and get there?
Somebody else did it with 4 kids and
Right.
And you could do it too.
right.
And I love that because it so much of what we have talked about on the podcast so far is that people find other people and try to be like that person.
Exactly.
Instead of trying to find what works for them, and how if your goal monetarily is less than somebody else's, that's okay. Because it has to fit your life, your family, what works for you. And having, there's a difference between a mentor and an idol.
100%.
That was so true.
And
so
people
true.
just idolize, people that they think have it all together. And really, even if you met your idol, you would realize that there might be things in their life that you don't want.
Exactly.
Or it's just not how you operate. We were laughing because Katie at one point even had hustle on her screensaver.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah. Well,
I did too.
And I'm not on either side of an argument about hustle. The word means to me something that probably doesn't mean to everyone else.
Absolutely.
But I liked that it was like, hey, when I got to that computer, I could work, and that was important. And it made me feel good, but I also wasn't like driving myself into the ground.
Right. Well, and I think it's important to differentiate because the title of this podcast is Hustle Humbly. So you don't want to like totally, I don't want to
discount that.
It's just a word.
Well, I think it's when it changes from a word to a mind and heart set. And so I talk about that a lot on my podcast and on my platform, that hustle is a mindset and it's a heart set, and rest is a mindset and a heart set. And hard work is biblical, hard work is good, hard work is important, but you can work hard out of a place of rest and knowing what your identity is and who you are in your own right, and be probably significantly more effective than you are if you're hustling yourself into the ground. You're making everyone around you miserable. You're, burning your body out. Burnout is so prevalent and so real, and we're like doing terrible, sometimes irreversible harm to our bodies just with burnout.
Right. When you went to the doctor, what was the advice that they gave you when they told you what was going on with you?
Yeah, so my cortisol levels were like off the charts. My adrenals were like failing, like literally.
And these are things they can actually test for.
Yes, I had like a huge blood panel done, and my doctor was like, "I don't know how you're standing up." Like my vitamin levels were ridiculous, like low. So, I got put on a lot of medications, which I've successfully, outside of the vitamins, been able to like wean off of over the last year. But, my doctor was basically like, you have to chill out.
Yeah, rest.
You gotta calm down.
He literally prescribed you to rest. And to just like let it go for a few minutes.
Yeah. And having like the minor amount of medical knowledge that I have, I was able to look at my results and be like, this isn't okay.
This is not okay.
Right. And that was a turning point for me.
What's funny is recently, like in the last year, I have struggled a little bit more with anxiety. And I think that in the past, I'm very driven and very like motivated. Right. And sometimes that can feel like anxiety. And I have to sometimes sit down and be like, is that anxiety or is that drive? Because you have this like anxious sensation that drives you forward to achieve and do what you need to do, which is healthy in some ways. But it's funny because in February 2019, I gave up caffeine. I did it for Lent. And I felt like a new person once the withdrawals and headaches and all of that went away. And then on one of your podcasts, you talked about the science behind caffeine. And when Easter came, which is, usually when I celebrate whatever I gave up for Lent, I never went back. Yeah. I was like, it makes sense that caffeine blocks the neurons that can that calm you down and, right? Isn't that kind of what it is?
Yes. Yeah, I've been off of caffeine for like 3 years now.
Wow.
I'll have the occasional coffee. Yeah. And I drink a lot of decaf because I actually am like,
you're a coffee drinker.
Yes.
But yeah, and now of course I can't remember all of the like specifics of the science, but it's significant, especially if you struggle with any kind of mental health, anxiety, depression, anything like that. It is combating not only your body trying to
help you
kind of heal itself, but it can combat your medication. Which once I learned that, I take Zoloft, and once I learned that, I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I'm not taking this medicine and
This is
counteracting it.
counterproductive.
Right, exactly.
So I think it's good to know, like, if you are struggling with anxiety or depression or anything like that, that affects your business, that affects your family, it affects everything. And people are so quick to not even think about just the things that they're eating and drinking. And we did a whole topic on self-care and boundaries.
Yes.
And I heard this guy on another podcast, I don't even know what podcast, say, you know, there's all these people out there that are drinking 12 Diet Cokes a day and having, you know, 200 grams of sugar a day. And then they're like, I don't know why I feel like a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you have to take care of yourself.
Why do I
in
feel
all
like garbage?
aspects.
Oh, because I'm eating garbage.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I had someone say to me once, junk in, junk out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yep.
So when you got diagnosed with adrenal fatigue or failure,
Oh, she's
yeah.
like all with that.
had you started Magnolia Inc.?
Yes.
Okay. How long had you been running that company?
About a year.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because we also speak on how in the beginning, when you're launching, when you're
everything.
Yes,
Yes.
the launch is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just managing those hours. And how old were your kids at that time?
1 and 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you launched a business, and this is what led to adrenal fatigue also. Just
See,
a
but,
lot.
I mean, it was a lot, but it's funny because I say a lot when we talk about the hustle that I actually have more on my plate now
Oh.
than I did when I crashed and burned.
Okay.
I mean, Magnolia Inc. is still like up and running and thriving. I have a podcast.
Yes.
I've been writing a book for like 2 years now.
Okay.
That'll happen eventually. I volunteer more. I have more on my plate, but kind of going back to when we were talking about hustle and rest being heart and mindsets, functioning out of a place where rest is a priority. I rest to work. I don't work to rest.
Okay.
That I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know what God says about me. It doesn't...
Because you're resting, you can actually do more than you were doing before.
So much more productive.
And handle it. You can
Yes.
handle the load without totally collapsing.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that work though? You have a set schedule? Do you like have scheduled rest? How do you keep from regressing?
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Right? It's really hard.
It's hard.
Alyssa and I
It's not
talk-
like you're cured now.
No, it's not like it's the easiest thing in the world for me now.
Because if you have that in you to want to, if
Drive.
you have ambition,
Mhm.
it doesn't go away.
No.
Mhm.
You could slip right back into I've got to do all the things.
Right, exactly. And I do, and I have. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've hit the wall and realized, I haven't taken care of myself at all. And honestly, a lot of the time it traces back to that I think that I can do it all.
Yeah.
And the reality is that I can't. I'm not supposed to.
No one is.
Nobody is. And
Mhm.
so I have really great time management skills, and I know that about myself, and I know what is important, and I actually just was talking on my Instagram not that long ago about I have like my 5 non-negotiables, which are like take your medicine, move your body, drink water, get in the word, and go to bed on time.
Okay.
Those are my day-to-day non-negotiables, and those are
Awesome.
kind of built-in things that help me from regressing.
That's
Mhm.
good.
And when one of them falls off,
Yeah.
I feel myself start to backslide.
Yeah, and your
Okay.
husband's like, hey.
Hey, which one's missing?
Right.
Oh wow.
Fix that.
Right.
Come back.
Yeah.
Get that done.
And I know that you're speaking the truth because even this summer I had reached out to you and was like, hey, let's get together. And like your answer was, the kids are home this summer. You didn't say no, but you didn't say yes. You let me know that not right now.
Yeah.
And then when the kids went back to school, we just
Immediately.
had brunch.
I mean,
Yeah.
they went to school, and that
You're like,
week we were like,
back
And
on
let's
we
hang
had
out.
brunch, and I was like, she's sticking to what she knows she needs to do,
Mhm,
and your boundaries are there.
mhm.
And I tell people too, like, I have lunch by myself once a week.
So good.
And lunch is like a big thing in our industry.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
we're
Yeah.
very social.
Yeah,
and you're
right to
always
lunch.
like, who are you lunching with? Where are you going? Who are you seeing and talking to? What relationships are you building? But once, sometimes twice a week, if my email's out of control, I have not earned the right
Mm,
to go to lunch.
mm.
It's like, if my email is under control,
Yeah, what do you consider out of control, though? You're such an
Things
email.
that I know.
5 emails in my inbox. My email is out of control.
It's so funny how subjective that particular thing is.
Absolutely.
Email, when I have seen other realtors or other humans with their little,
Badge.
alert badge that says you have 1,000 emails.
No, absolutely not.
Like a red 1,000
No.
would blow my mind.
No.
50 in my inbox is where it's like, ooh, things have gotten way out of, because my inbox is my to-do list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if it gets to 50, like if I've had a few days of like appointments or a couple of days of vacation or whatever it is, when it gets to 50 and it's not on the first page, then
1,000, I'm just scrapping it. I give up.
I would literally start a whole new
Just
email
a whole new
address.
email address. I'm done here.
I might have to change careers. Like, it would be the end.
Yeah.
Not to shame people that have 1,000. I just couldn't handle that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, in my Gmail class, I just did at our office, I explained to them that the red number, some of them thought the red number is how many emails you have. But that's just how many you haven't opened.
Right. So, like, friends, you've got to address that.
Gotta address it.
Or just get off those lists. I mean, most of that's junk, right? I mean, but you still have to weed through it to get to the stuff you need to really respond to.
Right. And I say that to say one of my non-negotiables is my email.
It is.
Like, for me, if my email is out of control, if I'm taking too long to get something back to somebody, I have not earned the right to go to lunch with friends. I have not earned the right to go get a pedicure.
Yeah.
Like, until this is done, I'm not available. And sometimes it sucks and sometimes I miss out. But it teaches me that if I use my time better, I can go to lunch whenever I want. I can do whatever I want. And so it just kind of goes back to the boundaries. So you don't really have set hours.
I do.
You do? Tell us.
Tell us what they are.
Yeah.
Give it to us.
That's a big boundary for me. And I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Okay.
But I am in very advanced recovery, I would say. I've come really, really far. I tell this story a lot about, I used to be such a crippling people pleaser. And this is partnered with anxiety, that there were days I couldn't go get gas in my car out of fear of standing at the pump and what the people around me would think.
What?
So that crippling
Yeah.
anxiety, and now, I mean, you're my friend.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I literally don't give a crap
No.
about anything.
You've come so far.
I've come so far, and it's Jesus, and it's therapy, and it's medicine.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of hard work. I think we forget that those personal development things and growth in areas of struggle, I mean, it takes work. It doesn't just drop in your lap.
Right.
Even if you're doing all of the things, you're doing the counseling and you're doing the digging in, you still have to work on it. And so, that was a tangent to say, now I have very established boundaries. My email signature has my office hours in it.
Oh, that's good.
Awesome.
So, I mean, if somebody emails me out of those hours,
They know.
They know
Their
that-
expectations are set properly.
and those office hours are Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9:30 to 1:30.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that's when the only time I'm working, but that is when I am readily accessible for people.
Right.
Okay.
That's when you're available.
That is when I am available to, like, you can shoot me a text and I will answer immediately. You can email me and I will answer immediately. Outside of that, you have to schedule time with me. And that time gets allotted to doing creative work, pursuing, my own personal dreams, being with my family, doing housework, all of the other things.
All of the other
stuff.
things.
But I am not at my clients' beck and call outside of those hours.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I know. It's such a different lifestyle, obviously, because we deal with the general public's perception of realtors work all the time. I mean, it's just because you work on the weekend or you do an open house. It's sort of the door is open, but you have to set those, and we sort of talked about it in the boundaries. You have to set it yourself.
Right.
So there are realtors that can easily get to burnout because they don't set it at all. And so it's, I'm at everyone's beck and call all the time. And then there's others who work office hours and can make it work. You can make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yours may be more extensive than mine.
In some ways, and in some ways, no. I think that we have done it to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
We were, in one of our earlier episodes, the stat from the National Association of Realtors is that 13% of licensees make it to year 5.
Wow.
It's a very small number of people who get their real estate license and who make it to year 5.
Because they're burning out?
They're burning out, they're not making the money, they're disappointed, their expectations weren't set right, finances, all of that.
Yep, all of that.
However, if you're not treating it like a business, the burnout is going to happen so much faster. You're never going to survive. Like, how can you possibly be that available your whole life?
You can't.
No, you can't.
And I think that goes for anybody that has started their own business. They want to be the best. They're on the high of the newness. They're an entrepreneur. They want to never miss a phone call, never miss a client, and in doing so, get to this place of exhaustion,
Mm-hmm.
which ruins their energy, depletes the excitement, and next thing you know, it's just, you want out.
Yeah.
And people are not setting boundaries.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that setting boundaries is easy,
Right.
by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I've gotten pushback from clients in the past that want to have access to me at all hours of the day, and
Do you fire clients?
I have
Yeah.
in the past.
Sometimes you can't set them right.
Right. I've gotten really good between wedding planning industry and dealing with brides.
Bridezilla.
Brides and so I was doing graphic design at that time too, but very like kind of under the radar. And then once it kind of flourished into a full business of its own, I've learned to kind of pick up they don't realize they're being interviewed, but I interview clients
Okay.
the same way they interview me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can pick up pretty quickly on,
That's not a fit.
this is not a fit. And here's the thing. I'm doing both of us a disservice. And I feel like this maybe translates into real estate world, but like I'm doing them a disservice and myself a disservice to bring on a client that I know we're not going to work well in the future, and like wasting our time.
Right.
Right.
Because there is the right fit out there for them. There is a designer out there who has their inbox and their text messages open 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what you want, go find them.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask a question about Instagram specifically.
Okay.
I've watched your stories and you are great on video and you talk to your, followers. Tell me like how that's been, what it's been like to have people, I mean, what do they slide into your DMs and say? Like what, does it fuel you? Does sometimes that make you feel overwhelmed? Like what do you get out of that?
Yeah. I can remember when I recorded my first video and I was like, this is the worst. Because like, everybody that's a big name in the Instagram game or whatever tells you like Insta stories is everything, right? And they've been saying that for years, and so I can remember the first time I was like, okay,
Gotta do it.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this.
Psych yourself
And I
out.
like did it, and it was like, I hated it. It was horrible. I never want to do that again. And I had a really, really small following at the time. Not that I have a giant following now, but I had a really small following at the time, and people loved it.
Yes.
They loved it.
Because it's real.
Because it's real, and it's your face, and they feel like they're connecting with you. And so that has grown over, I guess I've been in the Instagram game for like 2 years now.
Which I feel like is earlier than, like, I feel like I'm new to Instagram in some ways.
There's no, like, I mean.
It's not like it's been, like, I feel like you were one of the first friends I had that was, like, into it.
Yeah.
Using all the features and
Yeah.
doing all the things.
Yeah. Like, I was like, I didn't even know Instagram could do this. And Blake's doing all this magic on her Instagram.
Right. It is magic, but
It
it fuels you when the people have the good feedback.
Well, yeah, obviously. And there has to be like a healthy balance there as well, that people are so kind and so encouraging. And my hope and my heart for my platform and my space is to build it to be an actual community. I want people to feel like they know me because they do.
Yeah.
And I want them to, feel like they can talk to me or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, people are terrible on the internet too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Obviously. And there have been plenty of times I have a whole highlight reel that's literally called Unpopular Opinions. And that's where the like not really caring and knowing, I think that we get this really backwards view of what Jesus and his message was about, and it was the truth, and his truth was unpopular a lot of the time, and that continues to carry forward thousands of years later. And that sounds like I'm likening myself to Jesus, and I don't mean that at all, but just that,
Sometimes things are unpopular.
yeah, and uncomfortable, and so people feel inclined or like they have the right to come after me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's the the ratio of ugly to kind and encouraging is very unbalanced.
Mhm.
Right.
Because you get more kind.
Way more.
So it makes it okay.
I don't know if I would say it makes it okay, because like I try to remind people that I'm a human being,
Right.
Yeah.
and that there is more to my life than these little squares.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's easy to forget that when somebody is choosing vulnerability and openness
Yeah.
in their space, it's really easy, I think, to think you know everything,
Right.
and they don't. But you know, anytime I staunchly don't talk about politics in my space,
Mhm.
because I think that it's divisive and somebody is going to feel unwelcome,
It's not the space.
and it's not the space for that. But I will talk about social issues, or
Yeah.
you know, I get pushback about hustle culture, like going after hustle culture.
Right. Right.
So I
It's
mean,
very interesting.
it is.
So do you feel like now you like to do the videos, or do you just do them because you know you need to do them, or where, like,
I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it,
Yeah.
obviously, and having a podcast, I'm more comfortable.
Mhm.
And it's funny, I go back and forth between being more comfortable talking and being more comfortable writing, and I
Oh,
just kind
okay.
of honor that. Like,
Yeah.
and you can kind of watch there's an ebb and flow in my space where I'm writing all of my thoughts and the things that I want to
Yeah.
share, and then I'll transition into speaking
Mm-hmm.
them. And I think it's just about not forcing it.
Yeah, you don't have
Yeah,
to.
and that's something I've always loved about you, is that you're very in tune with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how you're feeling and what's going on, and if you're feeling extra anxious, you know you shouldn't have that coffee today.
Yeah.
And if you're in a good space, you know that you can give yourself permission to do this. You are good at holding yourself accountable
Mm-hmm.
from what I see.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you're not perfect, and I know that you have struggles, and I just think that more people need to be aware of how they're feeling and why they feel that way, so that they can recognize it and remedy it, and just block out all of the people that they're listening to
Absolutely.
and focus on themselves.
Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, that's a hard thing to do.
It's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially as we as women, I just spent a really long time on my Instagram and my blog and on my podcast talking about like cycle syncing.
Yeah.
That like we as women go through these like 4 seasons through a month.
Yeah.
That is biological and scientific, and nobody taught it to us.
No.
And it's not even about like it's about your body, but it's so much more than that. And so learning about that, and there's going to be a week that I feel more administrative.
Yes.
There's going to be a week that I feel like nesting.
Yes.
There's going to be a week that I'm like, I can conquer the world, come at me, let's go. And honoring that.
Right.
And like, instead of we force ourselves to be at the same level of energy and the same capabilities for 4 weeks in a row, and our body's like, I can't do it. Like, please
right.
stop.
And then when we have an off week, we're like angry with ourselves.
right, we're like, what
Yeah.
the hell? Like,
Yeah, like, where's my energy? Why do I feel so bad? Why am I so tired?
right.
Unrealistic expectations.
Yes,
And
and
there is-
unfair.
Yeah.
Well, it's totally unfair, and it's set up, I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but men reset every 24 hours, right?
Exactly.
So the system and the mindset of the collective
Yep.
is set to 24 hours.
Yep.
When women need all that
yes.
space in between, like you need the whole week of this, and then the whole week of, like
Yes.
I would love to know how to set myself up for that. I can't figure it out.
Okay,
Mhm.
there's an app.
Oh, let's
It's
hear
called
it.
My Flow,
Oh, well, okay.
which it's FLO,
Okay.
but it literally notifies you when you enter a new phase. Follicular, ovulatory, like
And I
whatever.
feel like that just gives you more grace to be like, I am
1,000%.
entering a week where I'm going to be more low energy.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
maybe this is not the week to schedule a class that I need to teach,
100%.
or
Because there is going to come a week
When
where
can.
you are optimized for public speaking.
right.
Yeah.
Your energy is at its height.
Your social, like you're physically drawing people in. I work my work schedules around my cycle.
That's pretty amazing.
It is
So
amazing.
I don't take interviews during like my low energy week, because I know what it's like to drag myself through 6 interviews a week when I have no energy.
Wow.
Oh, it's very interesting.
It is.
And it gives you grace for yourself.
Yes.
It gives you permission to say, this is my slow week.
Mm-hmm.
I am just going to clean house this week. I'm going to clean my email, my office. I'm just going to
Take
like
the naps.
nest. I'm gonna nap.
Exactly.
The naps.
Take naps this week, and then next week
I'm gonna kill it.
I'm gonna kill it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be back because
Yeah.
I'm rejuvenated.
Exactly.
Yep.
I love that.
I love that too.
Mhm.
I'm all about taking the naps.
Me
Yeah.
too. And there's a time when there's a week where I don't need a nap. You couldn't make me nap.
Right.
Mhm.
But then there's a week where every second I get, I'm laying on the couch.
Right.
And if I can plan for that,
Then it makes you not feel like you're letting yourself down.
and I think we're focusing a lot on like the downside of it, but man, the upside of like
Right.
knowing the week that I am killing it
Yeah.
and stacking that week,
Right.
I walk out of that week like,
I just did this.
Well, I mean, really, it's that's when I heard it on a podcast. It was about it as a productivity hack. That's why they were trying to teach that particular. So you do the things that you can do well in that time. But it also makes me think back to the Australia story. You can get a lot done in a short period of time if you plan for it.
Yes.
exactly.
I mean,
Yes.
you just can.
And even our business is so seasonal that we're coming off of a super busy summer, and I could call it quits for the rest of the year and be okay.
Right.
I'm not going to because I don't feel like starting it up again and
Right.
all of that. But I'm not freaking out right now
Right.
when don't have as many pendings in the queue. I don't have as many buyers as I did this summer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm slowing down. I can breathe. I'm going to clean out my database. I'm going to follow up with these people I haven't talked to in a while.
Right.
Like embracing that it's okay that business has slowed down a little bit and taking advantage of the downtime instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be busy again and my business is over.
But you know what it is so much is the same thing. I'm just thinking about it. You have to trust the real estate cycle the same way you have to trust your own cycle.
Your
like
body.
you have to,
Or the business cycle.
it's gonna come and go.
I mean, my business is extremely cyclical.
What time of year is busier for you?
I'm busy beginning of the year,
Okay.
like slammed.
Wow.
So for our listeners that don't know, tell us about your
Yes,
business.
Magnolia Inc. is a branding and website design studio. So I help people build more than just a logo,
Right.
but a full established brand that is web presence, it's social media presence, it's really everything you need to launch into or relaunch into your business sphere successfally.
That's awesome.
And I could see how January would be that time, and people are like,
Everybody's
I'm gonna hit it so
starting a new
hard.
business. Yeah.
This is gonna be my year.
Yeah.
I need to change.
And January is like our slow time.
Right. Well, and summer is slow for me because
Mm-hmm.
anybody that is going to be starting a business is home with their kids
Yeah.
probably, or it's just like summer is super slow, which I am thankful for because I'm home with my kids.
Right. So you
Yeah.
like the way it falls.
Right. And so I pick up in August, and I was going to ask with real estate being cyclical, which I didn't realize it is. Do you block off time that you're off?
I take off either Saturday or Sunday.
No, I mean like a chunk of
For
time.
the whole, like in the year.
Are you
Oh.
ever off? Like, do you take like a vacation that you're not like?
We vacation pretty regularly.
Okay.
She's good. I'm terrible.
Okay.
We went on a 3-night vacation during the summer, and we'll go again in October. I mean, if I was smart, I would plan for it and set in January when it's slow, or even
Mhm.
February. I mean, the real estate cycle doesn't start to go up until probably March.
Okay.
January and February are the months when, as a realtor, if you didn't plan, you're going to be
Dying.
You're
Yeah.
not going to be having money for a vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you planned,
It's the perfect
it's
time.
the perfect time.
Yeah.
It's the
Mhm.
perfect time.
See, I block off December. The
Okay.
last 3 years,
Oh.
I don't interview. I don't take clients. My birthday, we travel for Christmas.
That's fun.
I take the whole month. I can. I realize that not everybody can do that. I take the last 3 weeks. So I'm open the first week. And then, like, everything is closed.
Mm-hmm.
And it requires, but it's kind of like what you're talking about. I bust my butt from
Right.
August to November.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I am like
Yeah.
boots on the ground the whole time
Yeah.
to allow for a 3-week break.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that sets you up though for success when you know your busiest time is coming? Like you've really done a serious rest.
Yes, I've done a serious rest, and because I'm not fielding existing clients and I'm not interviewing for my podcast, I can therefore devote attention and time to marketing and to the administrative side of onboarding new clients. End of December, when I'm closed, they start to stack up.
Yeah.
So January starts to turn into like my next open date is April,
Right.
May.
Okay.
Like I start to, so I was
Yeah.
booked through the summer, but I wasn't onboarding new clients.
Okay.
Because nobody's starting a bit. They're not having the idea of, oh, I need to brand this.
Right.
But they got an idea in January and I didn't have an open spot until June.
Gotcha.
Because I take one client at a time.
Oh. How long is a typical process with one client?
3 weeks.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Alyssa's been through the process.
I have been through the process.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I sort of like,
And Katie was my what were you?
I don't know, just like a,
Sidekick?
hey, check this out, like a sounding board.
I am not creative, and the thought of even telling you what I wanted in a logo, I couldn't fill out the questionnaire. I was just like,
I was like salivating at the questionnaire. But
I was like,
this
Katie,
is so fun.
Yeah.
I
And
know,
she's like,
I couldn't even type a sentence, and so it came out. I was like, what do I like? Okay, there's this house I like. Maybe this house can be my logo. There's a New Orleans agent who has a house as a logo. I love it. I'm just gonna like use that. And I sent it to her, and we made a house logo.
It was terrible.
It wasn't bad.
And she was paid, and we were done.
And I couldn't do
And
it.
she messaged me a week later and said, Alyssa, I just am not happy with your logo. I cannot even sleep at night. I painted after just being your friend, knowing you, knowing your heart, working on your website, all of that. I have made a logo that I think is you.
I hand painted a tree.
I hand painted a tree.
Yes. And when she texted me that logo, I was like, that is it. That's what it was supposed to be the whole time.
And I was like, duh, it's supposed to be. Why couldn't I verbalize this? Why don't? But it's like
but you had
knew.
said you very specifically wanted it to be a house, and I was like, okay. And then you didn't want it to be a tree because you didn't want people to think that it was like a gardening business.
I know. I was like, I'm not an arborist. I
And
love
was like,
trees.
but, and that's like the hardest part of my job is when it's hard.
You have to give people
When they
permission.
want.
Use me as an example.
I have to
was
give
telling
people
you
what
what I
they
wanted,
want,
but it was
right.
wrong. What I was telling you I wanted was wrong.
Well,
Yeah, I think
you have to
you're-
be a brand therapist.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a brand coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think your original color palette, I was like, this is horrible. Like, we can't do this. And that was not because you were my friend. I've done that. Like, my existing client is a physical therapist, and his, like, color, I was like, nope. Can't do it. We're not doing that.
This
Nope.
doesn't look good. This
No.
isn't
And this
gonna
boy,
get
there's
you.
so much, like, color psychology. And,
Yeah.
like, he wanted it to be, like, black and gold. And I was like, we're not the
Ugh.
Saints. Like,
Right.
I can't do it. Like, no. And now his color palette is, like, orange, blue, and, like, this really pretty gold. And it's athletic, and it's vibrant, and it communicates his heart of getting people out of pain and back into their athletic lifestyle. And I was like, just listen to me. Like,
Right, listen to me. This is why you hired me.
Right,
To like
exactly.
get to know you and hear. So basically, you took what I said, but you didn't. Like you took all the things I didn't say because I didn't know how. I didn't know how to say who I was in my business and put it in a logo, which seems like so much pressure, and you're paying money, so you feel like you need to be really invested in it. And then at some point it's like, no, she's the expert. I hired her. And at the end of the day, after we were closed out, done, and paid for, and you were like, you just texted me a picture of my now logo.
I think I texted you, was like, hi.
Yeah.
I did a thing,
You did.
and I'm sorry, but that's not your logo. I can't do it.
Right.
I think I literally told you I hated it.
Yeah, you did. And
And then you texted it to her.
And I was like, that's
it.
Like,
That's the
her,
logo.
yes. Well, you said something really funny, and
That was very much like what she would have said.
It was like, it was
Oh,
like something
I'll
like,
go-
I love this so much it's stupid, or
Yeah.
like something like that.
And
that's
she
a
was
good-
like, yes. And it's
Yes.
just funny because now I'm like, now that I've had it for several months, I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
Like
It's
this
so
is my
you.
logo. This is exactly who I am. It's clean, it's simple, it's fresh, it's hand painted by my friend. And I still haven't launched my website, but I'm working on it
Yeah.
to announce it or whatever. But it's perfect. And so much more goes into branding than a logo.
Oh my god.
And I didn't know that. And I
Branding
think that's
is the
sort
tip
of
of
new.
the iceberg.
Branding is,
the logo is.
Yes. I think that the whole concept of branding yourself is somewhat newer.
I agree.
Especially in the real estate
I think it's
world.
new in the real estate world.
Okay.
You gotta brand yourself in business.
Right. But actual physical
Right.
existing visual brand.
Like consistency on your websites and your social media and your email signature and your
Social
documents,
media.
all of
Well,
it.
I mean, and what you choose to post, like, it was probably 2 years ago when I was like, I'm gonna give this Instagram like the good college try. I want to put more of like what I actually do every day out there. People are interested in kind of the behind the scenes of real estate, right?
Right.
Like, why are we watching HGTV?
Right.
Even though that's not realistic, but we won't get into that. And I really, my brand has evolved through what I have realized I love that also resonates with the audience.
Which is so important that it's both.
Right. So it isn't just the colors and the logo, and it's like, what is my actual message? Like,
Right.
who am I as a person? Why does that work for me and for whoever it is that does want to follow me?
Are you the one that does all the blue?
I
Yeah.
got
Yes.
the navy.
You do so well with that.
Thank you.
So well.
Thank
I think
you.
the first time you showed it to me, I was like, oh,
She's good.
Yes.
But you
there
can
it
scroll
is.
back, and it's not
Yeah.
always good. But
Yeah.
and it evolves, so
It
like you can
changes.
change, and it sort of like flows into the next thing.
I just changed my podcast, I post about my podcast every week. I just changed it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's still very on brand, still very cohesive.
Yeah.
But it's just a little bit different because you evolve and you grow and you change and you learn what your audience
Right.
reacts
Mhm,
to and is, wants and is looking for and then you go into the logistics. What gets reposted?
Right.
Yeah.
What gets interacted with? What are people sharing? Shareable content is so freaking important in
Yeah.
social media, and so that's just a whole world.
I have just been impressed with your level of professionalism. You have your work boundaries in place. You say no when you need to say no. You have seasons, you time block, you have branding, you have consistency. Like, you're just a really good example that realtors could implement because you're doing a lot of things that realtors are not doing.
My
And
head's
it's
gonna
things that
explode.
we need. Yeah.
That'll make for a good video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just,
Thank you.
there's so much, as individual realtors, there's not a lot of specific branding. We need to be better with our boundaries. We need to be better with our work hours. And the reason I wanted to bring Blake here is because she's not in real estate. This is an entrepreneur, a mom,
Right.
a wife, and in order for her to successfully run her own business, she has to self-care, boundaries, be professional. Why would we be any different?
Right.
Why
Right,
why
do
do
we
we
have-
why are we texting each other at 11 o'clock at night?
Right.
Business stuff.
Business stuff.
Right, that's ridiculous. No offense, but that's
No,
ridiculous.
it's so ridiculous.
well, in your,
What other industry is doing that?
I think more than you think.
You think?
I do. I mean, I think
Yeah.
teachers struggle with boundaries. I think
Yeah.
my husband is in the automotive business, and there are days where I'm like, hey, get off your phone.
Yeah.
You're with your family.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty rampant. And I'm not saying that it's not worse in the real estate
No,
business
no,
because
but-
I do think that y'all are very at your client's beck and call. But I think that this is
We
predominant.
allow them.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Well, it's because all humans have their work email on their phone now.
I don't have notifications on my email on my
Well,
phone.
that's really good.
That's awesome.
You are the example.
Yes.
We're gonna look to you.
My number one tip would be to take a week and turn notifications off on your phone.
Okay.
Turn social media, not text and calls, but turn social media off.
Okay.
Turn your email off. I don't know if there's a real
All,
estate
anything that beeps on your phone.
or that shows up as a red badge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
I like that.
And set a time to check your email
Right.
Right.
and knock it out.
So
Set
that way
a
you're not just
time.
oh, a red button, let me go answer my
Well,
email
then
right
you're
now.
just constantly
Logged in.
connected.
Yeah.
You're constantly
Mhm.
and your body is doing fight or flight, even though you may not be in distress. You're working, and so I mean, it's funny because the day that we're recording, I'm actually doing. This sounds so freaking annoying, but I'm doing a day in the life on my Insta stories because
Okay.
people have
Oh.
asked for it, which
Today?
sounds yes.
Wait,
Cool.
today?
Yes, like today. Like
Okay.
I'm doing like.
Can we be in your Insta story?
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
When
this
I'm
is
done,
so
when we're
fun.
done recording, I will like take a picture. Be like, this is what I
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
So like
so
I
fun.
ate Chick-fil-A in my car in your driveway from like work to here, and I was like, this is what I'm doing. Like, so
Right.
I don't know why. Like, it's weird.
Well, they're curious, like, how are you really doing it? What's the real truth?
Right. Exactly.
We don't want the glamour fakeness.
And I don't remember why I brought that up now.
I don't know.
Boundaries and
You were telling us to turn the notifications
Turn the
off.
notifications off. So like I have, and again, this sounds like I'm tooting my own horn. I don't mean to. I have a crap ton of notifications right now
Right.
because people are eating it up that I'm telling them about my day. I don't know why, but they're not showing up on my phone. Now,
that's
if
awesome.
I open Instagram,
They're all there.
They're there,
Waiting for you.
waiting for
when
them,
you have time.
and I can knock them out chunks at a time because my DMs are a dumpster fire most of the time, and I publicly apologize for my inability to keep up with it. But like, I wake up in the morning and eat my breakfast and drink my coffee and get my kids set up, and I sit at my computer and I knock out a chunk of emails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I get my kid on the bus and I take my kid to carpool for the little one, and then while I'm like on my way, I listen to my podcast, and then when I get wherever I'm working, I knock out another chunk of email.
Right.
Because so it's not constantly in my face.
Yes.
Right.
That's
That would be
awesome.
my challenge. That would be step one.
I like ending with a challenge.
That was a great tip, a great challenge. That's the perfect place to end that.
That's awesome.
Oh, that was so good.
So at the end of every episode, we cheers and toast to somebody and to their success and to someone that's just awesome. So we do want to hear about your successes, or if you want to nominate someone for us to toast to. But today,
I'm so excited. I'm gonna cry.
I know. Who are we toasting to, Blake?
My sweet bestest friend, Jeanette Tapley, who is the producer of Hustle Humbly. She is also the producer of Confessions of a Crappy Christian.
Yes.
She runs It's Time for Coffee Productions.
Okay.
She also has her own podcast, which is It's Time for Coffee. She is the freaking best.
She
She's
is like
amazing.
a little podcast guru.
She's
like,
the best.
She'll answer every single question with joy
Yes.
and like just so much excitement.
She's amazing.
And I
She's the
love
best.
that we have 3 podcasters here that have worked with her.
Yes.
Yes.
all together.
Yay,
Yes.
Jeanette. It's for
So
you.
cheers to you, Jeanette.
Cheers, Jeanette. Oh.
Blake, love it.
And I'm going to shameless pitch. She has a podcast course coming out.
Oh.
So if you have ever thought that you might want to start a podcast, go to her Instagram and you can get all the information for It's Time for Your Podcast.
Oh,
her
It's
new
Time for Your
podcast
Podcast.
course.
That's awesome. Go check her out.
Okay, bye y'all. Okay, goodbye, friends. That was so fun.
That was perfect.